Sophie Germain was a brilliant woman that was born in Paris, France on April 1st, 1776. She was the daughter of a silk merchant of Amberth, German. She rarely received any education. She had one sister that married to government officials. The other sister married to a physician. She never married and she had no children. She always lived her life at home. A little bit of history about her. At the age of 13, this was when the Bastille fall in Paris was unstable and was a dangerous city. It's kind of like the time in the 1950s here in the United States. She spent most of her time confined in her house. She found a book in her father's huge library of history and mathematics by J.E. Montecula. She was amazed by how the geometry influenced Archimedes. She also learned Latin and Greek in order to read the ancient mathematical texts. Archimedes was someone that she was fantasied by. She came across a story of the Greek mathematician Archimedes. She became engrossed in his mathematical musing. He ignored the Roman invader Syracuse, who then killed Archimedes. Archimedes, as we know it, is an environment to where he could live untouchable by confession of the social reality. This was called an Inco Polytechnics Symposium that was going on, and it was in 1975. There was no woman that could attend. She befriended a friend and started to get her notes from him. She was faced with major gender discrimination. She was constantly looked down upon because she was a woman studying mathematics. During this symposium, she was confident in submitting her work not just to any professor, but the greatest mathematician of the 18th century, J.L. Lunger. She submitted her work under the student's name, M. LeBlanc. The work was equivalent to someone that had been in the education system and that had taken these mathematical courses and had attended schooling throughout their life. Lunger saw that there were strong talents within this work, so he began to seek out the author, and he was baffled when he discovered that it was written by a woman. She started out with number theorems, and then she went to mathematical physics. She advanced the proof of Fermat's last theorem, which is x to the n plus y to the n equals z to the n. A proof challenged by many. It took many mathematicians' efforts for more than 300 years to complete. The theorem said that if the n is greater than 2, this equation will not work. Shifted from the number theory to more applied theories later on in life. She needed help and guidance, so she turned to Carl Friedrich Gauss. Gauss was considered one of the most brilliant mathematicians who ever lived. He received a letter from her, and he was impressed by her breakthrough. Gauss thought he was corresponding with a man because Sophie was going by the name M. LeBlanc. He forgot about his hatreds of Fermat's theorem. He decided to help her. When he began to help her, he was impressed with her, and when he found out that she was a woman, he was very baffled by it also. He stated that Sophie was a person when a person of the sex, which according to our customs and prejudice must encounter infinite more difficulties than men, succeeds nevertheless in surmounting these obstacles and penetrating the most obscure part of the number theorem, then without doubt she must have the noblest courage, quite extraordinary talent, and superior genius. Gauss was a brilliant man. He came up with many different philosophies. Sophie was not only passionate for math, but she was also passionate for the study of philosophy and psychology. She wanted to classify facts and put them into law systems. She died, one of the greatest women of mathematics. On June 26, 1831, at the age of 55, is when she had passed away with breast cancer. She had been suffering this pain for the last 2 years. H.J. Mons said that she was all things considered, she was probably the most profound intellectual woman that France has ever produced. And yet, strange as it may seem, when the state official came to make out her death certificate, he designated her as a single woman with no profession instead of a mathematician.